Hello, everyone, and welcome to Roadmap for Success as a Global Campus Student. My name is Caitlin Hennessy. I'm the Program Coordinator over at Global Connections, and we also have Holly joining us this evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Morales. I am a Human Development major at Global Campus, as well as a Student Ambassador for Global Connections.
And as we're getting started for tonight, as many of you are already doing, please feel free to use the chat box to ask questions, let us know if you have any technical difficulties, or to add to the content if you have any tips that are helpful. Also, as we're jumping in, we just want to go over what we're doing here today. And the purpose of today is really to show the commonly used websites, applications, and programs that are available for global campus students. And the goal of this is to save you time looking for these websites, and also so you start out with a running start of knowing everything that's available to you. So some things we're going to go over are my.wsu, Blackboard, some basic troubleshooting tips, the library services, as well as email, CougSync, which houses most of the student involvement opportunities, who our career counselor is, what Global Connections is, and then Holly's going to wrap it up with some top tips for online students. So I thank you all so much for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Holly.
Great, thank you, Caitlin. All right, stand by as I go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll get started on the my.wsu homepage, and Caitlin will put that link in the chat box now. So this is a page that hopefully most of you are familiar with. When you log in with your user ID, which is typically your first name dot your last name, you'll open up to this page here, and this is typically where we access all of our important student web pages. So we have Blackboard and our email and our student center, financial aid information, all of that stuff. And as a new student, and even as a returning student, it can be kind of overwhelming to log into this page because there's so many links. So I just want to cover a few links that you'll probably use most and just show you where they are, then point out a few helpful things with Student Center, then we'll wrap up with some troubleshooting tips. So the first thing I want to show you is just your typical links that are going to be shown here on the right side of your screen. So as you can see, it's written in red here. It says student links. And the first one that I want you to see is where Blackboard is. It's the second one down from the top. You can also take note that the academic calendar can be found here, and that's helpful as an online student just to know when your teachers might not be in the office because maybe it's Thanksgiving break. Maybe you want to know when the last day of the semester is. All of those dates are going to be found on the academic calendar, so it's really helpful to have that link and know where it is. So we'll scroll a little bit further down, and the next thing that I want to show you is your Office 365 email link. And this is a really important link because this is where all of the correspondence from Washington State University is going to be sent to you. So any emails, newsletters, announcements from your instructors, all of that is typically going to go to your WSU email. Caitlin will go into the email a little bit later on this evening, but for right now, I just want to point out to you that this is where the link is, about halfway down your screen. So if you scroll down further on, I want to point out where your advising information is found. So if you are at the very top of your my.wsu homepage, you scroll about halfway down, and now you can see this is my advisor page. Like I said, I'm a human development major, and so Catherine Miller happens to be my advisor. Of course, everybody's advisor is going to be different based on your major, but just make sure, especially as a new student, that you're emailing your advisor early and often. I can't stress enough how important it is to keep that line of communication open, not only to make sure you're graduating on time, but to make sure that you don't miss any steps on the way to graduation. So as you can see here, this box has basic information, phone number, email. This is actually a link, so if you click on it, it will actually auto-populate into your Office 365 email. So it'll be easy peasy. It sends off your question, and then she usually gets back to you within a couple days. The final thing that I want to show you on this page is Proctored Exams. Now, as an online student, one of the questions that most people have is, well, how am I going to take tests? Because nobody's keeping me accountable. Well, that's what our proctoring service is available for. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the proctored exams are simply exams taken from the comfort of your home, the library, Starbucks, wherever you feel comfortable, and the proctor will watch you through your webcam. So at the beginning of your proctor exam, you'll go through a series of checks with your proctor, which looks like taking a mirror and showing your keyboard, showing the space around you, double checking what materials you have. The proctor will have the list of the materials that your instructor has okayed for your exam. And so they'll double check and they'll let you know what you can and can't have during the exam. And finally, the proctor helps you log in and log out of the exam and make sure that everything gets submitted properly. The one tip that I have on proctored exams is to ensure that you have your Cougar card, because they will ask you to hold it up to your chin to verify your ID for the test. So if you haven't ordered your Cougar card yet, I highly suggest that you get that started just so you have it when the time comes. And another helpful tip is to have a mirror handy, and usually a rather larger handheld cosmetic mirror is the best, because then it gives more space in the webcam so that you can show your keyboard, because that will be a requirement to get started with your proctor exam. So as you can see on my page here, I have one proctored exam this semester. And so I can look here and I can see, okay, in Psych 350, the third exam is going to be proctored. So now I know in the back of my head I need to pay attention to when that exam is coming up so that I can get it scheduled. That information is going to be found within your course space in Blackboard. So it's really important to make sure that you're reading the syllabus and the course schedules to know when that exam needs to be scheduled. So when the time comes that you do want to schedule an exam, you come right up here back to the Global Campus Quick Links, and you click on Proctored Exam Info, and then that will house all of your links to actually schedule your proctored exam. But just keep in mind that the exams do need to be taken within a certain window of time, so make sure that you're getting the information from your course space, from your instructor, and then scheduling your proctored exam. So with that being said, we're going to go on to the next section of my.wsu, which is our Student Center, which is found here at the top middle of your page. And it's really important to differentiate between the Student Center and the my.wsu so that you know where to find information quicker than searching around both pages. So the way that I like to relate it is the my.wsu page is going to house all of the general information that all online students are going to need. So it's going to be completely general. So it's all of your calendars, your deadlines, your links, everything that other students will need to. That is found on the my.wsu page. If you log in and you need something more specific, like maybe you want to check on your financial aid, that's going to be found in the Student Center. So just remember, any information that only pertains to you as an individual is going to be found in the Student Center. So from there, this red font here is actually a link, so you just go ahead and click on this, and I actually have it open in a separate tab over here. So when you open up the Student Center, as you can see already, my personalized information is showing. So I have my class schedule. So if you're ever wondering what your classes are, maybe what the name of a class is, you can find it in this section here. So what I really like about the class schedule is that not only can you see it at a glance and what class numbers you're taking, or course numbers, but you can click this icon here and it'll open up into the information about the class itself. So now I can see, okay, HD 341 is Guidance in Early Childhood Programs. I had forgotten what the name is. I can now see when my class starts, when my class ends, and all of the important dates that follow. One little tip about Student Center is that if you click the back button from here, it will actually take you all the way back to the my.wsu homepage instead of the page we were just at. So just be mindful that when you're on the Student Center to scroll down, and these links will be seen here, return to Student Center, and that will take you back to the page that you were just on. So for a little bit further down, you can see we have our finance box. And this is where you're going to find all finance information. So your financial aid, your tuition, regardless of whether you're doing cash payments or financial aid payments, it's all going to be found in this financial aid section. You're not going to have to go to two different places. So as you can see, all of the financial aid information, if it applies to you, will be found on the left in these links. This is where you can accept and decline your awards right here. You can view your financial aid. And if you're wondering when your financial aid is going to come in, maybe you're waiting on a report to come back, you can click this link, View Award Activity, and it'll show you what activity has happened on your account. I kind of like to think of it as if I'm tracking a package. It'll show all the different places that your financial aid is going through. So it's pretty helpful. And if you are needing to make a cash payment, As you can see from this link here that says make a payment, this is also where you would pay your tuition. Many of us have already had our tuition paid, this because school has already started for this semester, but if we did have charges on our accounts, it would auto-populate in this box here, but as you can see, it says I have no outstanding charges at this time. So one last thing that I want to show you on the Student Center is where you can find information about holds. And what a hold is something that the university puts on your account to say, hold on, this person needs to complete this requirement before they can register. So as you can imagine, it's really important to make sure that all of your holds are cleared out so that when your registration time comes open, you can register. Otherwise, you might lose a class and that could just throw off your entire graduation date. So those holds are found here on the right side of your screen in this very top box that says holds. The hold that you can see here says current student FAFSA deadline. What this is it's a general hold that's thrown out on all the student accounts just to say, hey, registration's coming up. If you don't have your FAFSA in line, make sure that you get it in line before you register. It's just a general reminder. It's not a hold that's going to prevent you from registering. However, if you are a new student and you haven't reached junior status yet, so an example of something that you might find as a hold on your account would be the junior writing portfolio, because that is something that you have to have completed before you can register for your junior classes. I believe you have the fall semester of your junior year, and then you can't register for spring. So you do have a little bit of time, but not much. So that hold would show up in this box, for example, saying junior writing portfolio hold, and then you would have to work with your advisor and get that writing portfolio completed. And then that hold would be taken off and you'd be able to register. So it's really important to be mindful of these holds over here on the side. So now we're going to go back to my.wsu, and we're going to take a look really quickly at Blackboard. So to get to Blackboard, you can go ahead and click this link, and it will take you to the Blackboard login page. And this is a page I wanted to show because for those students who are returning, this is a little bit different. So it does say sign in with a third-party account, but we don't want to do that because we want to use our WSU user ID. So you just pull the drop-down menu and select WSU. And then it'll ask you to put in your user ID, which I will do now. And then you can go ahead and log into Blackboard. And so now it's going to open up into the home page, and like I said before with my.wsu, hopefully some of you have already logged in, you're already kind of familiar with this, but I just want to show you a few little things that you may have missed. So most obviously is your courses. As you can see here under my course space, you can see the 4 courses that I'm personally enrolled in. This is where you would find all of your specific course spaces by just clicking on the course, but again, hopefully you've already logged in and done that. The one thing that I want to point out that I didn't know as a new coming student is that this announcement section here is not just for instructors. So anytime that Blackboard is having technical difficulties or anticipates a system update, they're going to announce that information in this section. So just make sure that when you log in, you just quickly glance to make sure there's nothing from Blackboard that you need to make note of, because they will post something along the lines of scheduled system update happening tomorrow between the hours of 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. and that can affect some students who study before work. So just make sure you're keeping mindful of that so that you see if there's an announcement that you need to pay attention to. Because if you have logged into your courses, these announcements do show up on your specific courses too. So I have come across a few students who kind of bypass these announcements, staying within their course space. And finally, if you do log into Blackboard and you're having trouble with the technical side of things, you can come over to this browser issues section and you can click on this link, Internet Explorer browser support page, and this will take you to the tech help of Blackboard in case you need it once you get into Blackboard. So with that being said, we're going to go back over to my.wsu, and the last thing I want to cover is troubleshooting. So that link that's in Blackboard is great if you can log into Blackboard, but what do you do if you can't log in? So I have been a student at WSU for a little over a year now, so I've had some technical issues that I've had to email into the help desk for, and I want to share a few little tips that they've given me to avoid having to get those email threads going for you so you can get into your class a little bit sooner. So the first thing that the tech desk shared with me is to simply clear your browsing history, because when you're browsing and you have all of your browsing history piled up, cookies pile up as well, and those cookies prevent our user IDs from being able to access Blackboard. So the first thing you want to do is just go ahead and clear those cookies out. And from then, you don't even have to refresh. You can just go in and try to re-log in. However, if that doesn't work for you, the second thing to try after getting rid of your browsing history would be to go ahead and refresh the page. And if those two things together don't work, I would suggest deleting your browsing history, refreshing the page, closing your browser, and opening a new one. If that doesn't work, at that point, something is probably wrong deeper within the system than just cookies, and so you would need to contact the tech desk at that point. However, in all my experience, those usually solve the problem. But if it doesn't, I'm going to wrap up here in a moment, and I'll put the link to the WSU Tech Help in the chat box. And if you have any questions, I will be on the chat box while Caitlin presents our next portion here.
So first we're going to jump into WSU Libraries. As a global campus student, you have full access to the library system, but then you also have some special services for you since you're a distance student. And when you're first familiarizing yourself with the libraries, I recommend once you get to the main library page, which is at libraries.wsu.edu, or you can access it through your my.wsu account, is just to go down to the services section and select for global campus students. Here you can find a lot of general information, tutorials which are helpful if you're brand new, as well as media access, article access, a lot of how-to-do things. Also, a stellar resource is found under Research Tips, and it's actually our Global Campus Library Liaison, Erica England. And she is here to help you with anything from, let's say you're having trouble finding an article, or you're not sure which database to use for your project, or let's say you have a really big paper coming up and you need some help identifying key search terms. Whatever your library question is, Erica is totally here to help. So you can just shoot her an email, selecting this button, and it auto-populates with the email to her, erica.england@wsu.edu. Or let's say you want a little bit of a more one-on-one experience, or think you need more help than you really want to type out in an email, that's okay too. You just go over to back to WSU Libraries, the main page, go to Services, but this time in the far left-hand bar, scroll down to Ask Us, scroll down to Book a Librarian, select this link, and you fill out this really short form, your name, email, virtual unless you have plans to come to Pullman, and then you can do that over the phone or Skype, whatever your preference is. And then you can even input your preferred days and times. And again, this could be anything. They have some suggestions up here of building citations, finding resources, whatever your library questions are. And then we're going to head back over to our main page for the libraries. So we'll go back to the main page and then for global campus students. And another really neat resource they have is free home delivery of books and media. So anything that someone on campus could check out from the library, you can as well, whether that's books or bound articles, videos, discs, CDs, it doesn't matter. If it's available to check out for an on-campus student, it is for you as well. If you'd like to explore that more, you just select this. And also, I'd like to let you know that we have an Introduction to WSU Libraries for global campus students coming up with Erica England. And that will be on September 6th at 6:30 p.m. And she's going to go way more into the nitty-gritty of how to find databases, what are your research tools, commonly asked questions, methods to get help. And that will be great from her perspective, and you can ask her any questions or issues that you're running up against now. Of course, if anything comes up in the meantime, you're welcome to reach out to her earlier. And if you do have any questions, pop them into the chat box at any point. Next, we're going to go over to our mail. And y'all have probably already used your WSU email, and we just want to point out a couple things about it. This is the primary way that WSU communicates with you, so it's a really good idea to check it every time that you log into your class space or that you're doing your coursework for the day. And primary communications that come through are the WSU newsletter, which for global campus students, which looks like this. And this is an example of our latest one. And oftentimes they'll go over like important academic deadlines or things coming up, so the fall course is opening, online events, if we have any position openings, so student ambassadors we're hiring for right now, if there's any known Blackboard outages. Important academic deadlines are always found in the right-hand side under the Stay Up to Date section, or news from your student government, scholarship information. So this is a great thing just to pull open and peruse, even if it's just really fast, to get a firm idea on everything that's available to you. You'll also find newsletters from other organizations like the Alumni Association or the athletics, and communications from your advisors, which are really important for setting up meetings or reminders, as well as, unfortunately, we all get spam, and this does happen, but a great way to deal with it is to forward it on to abuse.wsu.edu. So this is just an example of one where it says, your storage limit is coming up and something terrible is going to happen unless you click here now. You just forward that on to abuse@wsu.edu, and that's helpful for two reasons. One, it lets our IT people know that a new spam is coming up, and also if there is anyone's account that has been compromised, it helps them get help earlier. And another thing that's helpful is you can always add folders. So if you want to keep track of communications from your advisors or webinar registrations or anything like that, that's a really helpful tool to keep in the back of your head. And I'm going to check the chat box real quick to see if we have any questions. Oh, it's hard to check so many emails. That's true. We all have a ton of email accounts, Ricky. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to jump back into everything, and we're going to go into our org sync next. For us, it's called CougSync, and this is where is really the hub of student involvement opportunities. When you log in, you'll see Washington State University Global Campus. This middle area populates with whatever organizations you have joined or what you're interested in. And the first one we want to showcase is Wellbeing Online. And Wellbeing Online is a program for Global Campus students that provides fitness webinars. It has a weekly workout that they publish on their website, wellbeing.wsu.edu, as well as nutrition tips and a really great reimbursement program that Holly's going to tell you a little bit more about.
Perfect. Thank you, Caitlin. So the gym reimbursement program is a really great thing that we have as online students to help us keep healthy and active among all of the other responsibilities that we have as online students, whether it be work, kids, school, everything. So a few things that keep coming up as questions from students for the gym reimbursement program are things that I want to go over for you so that you don't have those questions. So the first thing that I want to highlight is that the gym reimbursement program covers gym fees up to $100 per semester. And I see Anna thinks that's very cool, and it is very cool. So the first thing is that gym fees are classified as fees accrued from traditional gyms, fitness studios, or private gyms. So a traditional gym is going to be a place like Forever, 24-Hour Fitness, LA Fitness, or Thrive Fitness in the Seattle area. A fitness studio is going to be more along the lines of a Pilates studio or a yoga studio. And finally, a private gym is going to look more like the CrossFit gyms that have popped up more and more. The fees that we can't cover under the gym reimbursement program are going to be fees that you accrue past your monthly membership costs. So that would look like fees that you might pay for personal training or fees that you might pay for childcare. So for example, if you pay $20 a month for LA Fitness and then $10 a month for your personal training and $5 a month for your childcare, we can only accept the $20 per month as your reimbursement cost. So with that being said, and yes, Ricky, we're going to go over that in a minute. With that being said, one caveat to the program is that unfortunately we can't accept paper receipts. So you need to either have an email receipt that you can download and submit or have the ability to scan that receipt in. So when you have your receipts ready to go, the next thing that I want to highlight is what you see in red here, where it says submission deadline is November 15th. So why this is important is because even if you turn in your reimbursement program today, you won't hear anything back until the week after November 15th. So it's just kind of something to have in the back of your mind, or maybe write down on your planner that, okay, I know that I haven't heard anything back, but I don't need to resubmit. It's just that all of the applications are seen together as opposed to one by one as they come in, for fairness, and this to make sure that everybody gets what they need to get and get their applications read. So from there, when you're all ready with your receipts, you can click the green bar that says begin form. And again, you can turn this in at any point during the semester as long as it's before November 15th. And in the form, they're just going to ask you a few simple things: your user ID, your which is going to be the student ID number that you were given when you registered for WSU, your first name, your last name, your address. And then in addition to the gym membership, we do require that you complete 3 additional healthy habits per semester. And we ask that you define each of them and write about a paragraph telling us why they are a healthy habit for you. So what that looks like is anything that you see as something that you do regularly that adds health to your life. That could be maybe a dance class that you go to, or a cooking class that you took, or a cookbook that you bought and it's something you cook out of all the time. You don't get reimbursed for your healthy habits, but we do require that you participate in healthy habits. So that means that they don't necessarily have to be something you pay for, they just have to be something that contribute to your overall health. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind too. So make sure you set aside about 10-15 minutes to actually write that portion of the reimbursement program form out. And if you have any further questions about this program, Ramon, who is the manager of the gym reimbursement program, is super friendly and he'll answer any question you have. His email can be seen here in blue. And the phone number that you can reach him at is also followed at the end right above the begin form bar. So if you have any questions on Wellbeing Online, I'm going to pop into the chat box and I'm going to let Caitlin take it back over.
All right, everyone. Next, we're going to check out the student government, which is ASWSUG, and all the awesome programs that they have to offer. So if we're back at our homepage, you go over to ASWSU Global, and they have things like face-to-face events. For example, we just went to Rendezvous in mid-August, and global campus students could come out, meet each other, bring their families. We had a resource fair and a great lunch, and they do those periodically throughout the year of just an opportunity to meet folks and to enjoy each other. And in the chat box, I see Ricky mentioning that her and Michelle are both members of the student government. So if you have any specific questions, please ask them. They also, in case, let's say you want to get involved more with your student government, they also have student involvement committee meetings, technology committee meetings, and student resource committee meetings that anyone is able to go to. So you don't even have to be necessarily in the Senate. And Ricky mentions that you can email them questions at global.sec@wsu.edu and also global.invol@wsu.edu. Additionally, they have some awesome reimbursement programs that we just want to highlight quickly, and you can explore more later. So if you're at your portal for the student government, you head over to forms, and the first one is the graduation cap and gown reimbursement. This one's not open yet. It'll get open closer to actual graduation. And let's say you want to come walk at Pullman as you're ready to graduate, which is anyone can do, and we have a good handful of students that do it each semester. You can get a payment back for your cap and gown. And all you have to do is submit your receipt, proof that you're eligible to graduate, and a short essay of 500 words or less. And on that note of graduation, they also arrange a really great event the night before commencement in Pullman, where all the global campus students get together, they bring their families, we have a dinner, and they say a few words. Also, let's say you can't make it over to the east side of Washington for that. That's okay too, because they often do a reception for global campus graduates in Seattle area too. Next, they also do the child care reimbursement program. And let's say that you need some time just to study by yourself, no distractions, or you're working on a really big project. This is an awesome way to get some alone time to do that. You can get up to $400 per semester reimbursed if you're a full-time student and $200 if you're a part-time student. And you can see all the qualifications and requirements down here. And this will also be opening a little bit later in the semester, September 8th. And the final one we'd like to highlight is a travel grant reimbursement. And this is excellent for, let's say you want to go to a leadership event or a leadership conference or a conference that has to do with your major. These are all opportunities that could be applied for to get the reimbursement. And the reimbursement is good for lodging, transportation, and registration, just not food. And a quick clarification on this is that these fees cannot, or this reimbursement cannot go towards things that are required academic work. And by that I mean, let's say you're in a sociology class and you have to do an ethnography. So you have to go around interviewing people, let's say in your city. Since that's part of a 4-credit class and that's part of the work you have to do for that credit, then that's not eligible. But a lot of other things that have to do with continuing education or learning more about your field are eligible. So read through this and check it out further. Next, we're going to go back over to our main page and head over to Center for Civic Engagement. And the Center for Civic Engagement offers a collection of volunteer opportunities, and these can be ones that you want to do just for your own sake, or you might be in a service learning class where it is required. They provide 2 great options that are searchable to find opportunities in your hometown. The first, if we scroll down a little bit, is under Service Opportunities. And you can search here either by location or if you know a certain event, by date, or if you want it to be one-time, repeating, or ongoing. And then also, and this is my preferred one personally, is the Community Partner Map. And this one gives you a more visual way to see everywhere that there's options. And if you want to make it really searchable, you click to this View Larger Map. And you can either search it by types of opportunities. So let's say you really love working with education and the environment, then you would just leave those 2 selected. Or you can search this way by typing in a city or an area. And as we're getting back over to that page, you can also find your record of civic engagement, which is really important if you do have a required service learning or you have to prove your volunteer hours. You can find that on the main page. And then finally, they also do contests and activities surrounding volunteering. For example, around Earth Day, they had a contest where if you submitted a photo of yourself at your volunteer project during the week of Earth Week, you were put in a raffle to receive a bicycle. So just keep an eye out in the newsletter as well as their CougSync portal for information about that. And now that we're leaving CougSync, I'm going to jump over to see where you can meet our career counselor. You go over to the globalcampus.wsu.edu website and you select WSU Online Degrees, Current Students, Student Services on the right-hand side, and then Career Counseling. And this is Chris Miller, and by career counseling, it really could be anything under the umbrella of career. Let's say you need some help on your resume, or you're getting ready to graduate and you need to tune up your interview skills, or you're starting, you really love your major, but you don't know what you're going to do with it. He can help you with all those questions and a lot more. All you have to do is, if you want to set up a meeting with him, is get career advice. And oh, that page doesn't seem to, it's down right now. It was up early this morning. It must be a little glitch. But if you select that page, I promise that it will go to a really simple form that asks you for your name, student ID, and what you are curious about. Or you can also just email Chris directly, which is right here at cmiller66@wsu.edu. And you can schedule a full session meeting or a short 15-minute mini advising meeting. So those are great if you're not really quite sure how a career counselor can help you, or you just want to meet them and test the waters to discuss what would be helpful. Those are excellent. Finally, Chris also maintains a career blog, and I really like his blog because it covers a big range of things from virtual internships to webinars coming up, or online networking opportunities, or career fairs around the state of Washington. And all his blog posts are really succinct. They give you the facts and then you can move on. So this is a great thing to keep in your bookmark, and then just check it once a week, and once every 2 weeks, or whatever works for you. And I see someone asking for the link to Chris's blog. I will pop that in the chat box right now. It is also can be found at wsu-careers.blogspot.com. And finally, we're going to move on over to Global Connections. And Global Connections is a program that offers opportunities for online students to discover and participate in extracurricular events. And so just like on physical campus, we'll have things outside the classroom you can go to, whether it's lectures or workshops or fitness opportunities. We have the same thing, just it's all online. We mostly do this through webinars and live streams. So similar to the situation right now where there's a chat box and a presenter, or live streams are when oftentimes there's a live audience and visitors to Pullman, or sometimes we go elsewhere to live stream guest speakers. If you'd like to see the events, you can go to connections.wsu.edu, and you can see everything that's going on right now. And this is updated all the time as we're adding new things, so it's a great thing to bookmark also. So if we scroll down a little bit, we can find our upcoming events. On Monday, August 28th, we have a live stream with the author Ernest Cline, who wrote this year's common reading book, Ready Player One. We have a fitness webinar with Ramon, who manages the Cyberkook Fitness Club, coming up on August 31st. We have a book club, that libraries webinar I was telling you all about, an internship webinar, and a trivia night. And we're going to have lots more throughout this semester, so please check back. Also, if there's ever something you'd like to learn about that's not being offered or you're not seeing it, please let us know. We'd love to hear from students and let us know what would be helpful to you. We have covered a variety of topics from career development to leadership skills to student resources, mental health. Whatever you're interested in learning about, let us know and we'll try our best to find an expert presenter for you. And one final thing on the site that you can find is, let's say you miss a newsletter or you want to catch up on newsletters. You just go up here, select newsletters, and you can go by date. And with that, I'm going to send it back over to Holly.
Great, thank you, Caitlin. Bear with me 1 second while I get our slide up here for you. So the next thing we're going to go over, and that will actually end our presentation tonight, is my personal top 10 tips for being an online student. I have actually been an online student since high school, and I continued on in community college and finally now here at WSU finishing my bachelor's degree. So please in the chat box add tips that you have for other students. I know as online students we can never get enough, so if you have anything to add, please do. So my first tip is to rent your textbooks. This is something that you can do through the bookie here at WSU or many other online retailers. The one thing about renting your textbooks that a lot of people are hesitant to do is that renting your textbooks, well, I can't write in it, I can't highlight in it, how am I going to be able to study and have it be a usable course material? Well, that is a myth for most online retailers. The bookie, in fact, actually puts a sticker right on it to say, please highlight, treat it like your own book. And so renting your textbooks can really be a money saver, and it can be anywhere between $15 and $30 to rent a textbook for the entire semester. So it's definitely a huge savings for those of you that are on a budget, which are most of us as college students. The one caveat that I will say to renting textbooks is to keep in mind that WSU has a little bit of a different academic calendar, being that we start in August and end in May. So before you rent, just double check that your return dates are going to line up with when you need the book, because I have run into a few return dates that actually ended up being too early for what I needed, and I would have had to have paid extra if I went with those companies. So just double check And if you don't even want to deal with it, renting from the bookie is great. They have a price match guarantee, and they obviously have a rental period that fits the WSU academic calendar. So the second thing is invest in a good planner. And by good planner, I mean a good formatted planner that works for your learning style. There are so many different kinds of planners out there. Really take the time to flip through a bunch of them and find a format that works great for you. I really like a planner that has lots of space for me to write in my assignments and be super organized. Other people like to be much more simplified. There are some people who prefer just to use the calendar on their phone or on the computer. So just really make sure that it's a good planner that works for your style. So good doesn't mean expensive, it's just the style that works for you. And that leads us into my next tip of stay organized. Obviously, a good planner is going to help you stay organized, being that you can take all of your assignments and write them down in the planner, and you can see what you need to get done during the week. Another aspect of staying organized is just keeping all of your paperwork, all your books, in a place where they can be put away. I know some students that have a desk, some students just have a box that they put everything away in. Whatever it is, just find whatever works for you to stay organized, because it will help you in the long run, especially during high stress times like finals. Number 4 is to print out your course schedule. And your course schedule can be found on the course space inside Blackboard for each individual course. One really nice thing about WSU is that instructors are required to put up that course schedule, which hasn't been my experience in the past. So it is so helpful to be able to go in on the first day of school, get that printed out, and just have what you need, and you can see your due dates, and it's the need to know information. So definitely get those printed out. Number 5 is to set aside time to schedule your week. And this can literally be 5 minutes of time to sit down, look at your course schedules, and schedule your week out so that you avoid cramming right before a due date. For example, I happen to be a Monday to Friday kind of student. I set aside 5 to 10 minutes every Monday when I sit down to get it done, get it scheduled, and I don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. Whenever you log on for the first time that week, I highly suggest you sit down and schedule your week first. It will help you not get so overwhelmed, and it'll help you stay on track. Number 6 is to give yourself time off. And for example, like I said, I'm a Monday to Friday kind of student. To keep my sanity, I have to give myself time off on the weekend to not think about school, to decompress. However, that's not the case for every online student, and that's the beauty of online schooling, is that you can study whenever. So what I suggest doing is, when you're scheduling your week, take time to see when you have time in your week and what works for you, even if it's an hour, if it's 5 minutes, to just take time off and refresh. Sometimes all it takes is a quiet cup of tea, maybe outside in the backyard, to really just decompress, especially when you're going straight from work into school or straight from family stuff into school. It can get so overwhelming. So really take that time to give yourself time off, and don't feel guilty for it, because you need it. It's part of being a good student, because if you're studying when you're not into it, you're not going to perform at your best, and we all want to perform at our best. So take that time off. Number 7 is to pace yourself. I have a built-in pacer by just writing everything down in my planner. That's what works for me. Other students, they prefer just to know when their due dates are and kind of plan accordingly. But whatever works for you, just pace yourself so that you don't end up at the end of the week with 10 assignments due on the same day. Make sure that you have some mode of organization in place, that you're doing a little bit throughout the week or throughout the day, or whatever works for you, to avoid that cram right before a due date, because nothing is worse than starting a 12-page paper at 9 a.m. and it's due at midnight. You just have to do, yes, like Michelle said, some every day. It's the best advice. Number 8 is something really small, but I promise you it's going to help so much, and I actually went through my textbooks and did this today. It's place a sticky note on each textbook with important information. So I literally just take a square sticky note, I put it on the cover of my book, and it has my course number on it, the course name, and the instructor name. 3 simple pieces of information, but it's so important to have those pieces of information organized. Even if you're doing something as simple as an APA format, and you're in your head, I'm in HD 101. Oh no, I don't remember what the name of HD 101 is. That information's right there. You don't have to take 2 minutes to go find it. It's just a really quick time saver. Having that information is also really helpful, because as you get into your major as you get into your major more and more, you will find that the material will start overlapping. You're all of a sudden you're reading about the same thing in more complex aspects in different classes. And that can be really confusing when you have to specifically use one textbook. Can't tell you how many times I've gone through and done an entire discussion post, and as I'm citing it, I realize I used the wrong textbook and I have to start over. So just something as simple as slapping that sticky note on there will avoid that. You'll be using the right textbook and everything will be great. As I covered a little bit when I was going through my WSU, is your proctored exams will show up on that chat box early on in the semester. And what that allows you to do is go on the first week of school, we're in the first week of school, get those exams scheduled. You don't have to think about it. You put them on your planner, whatever the mode of your planner is, and it's there, it's done, and you don't have to think about it. Nothing is worse than getting stuck with an afternoon appointment because you waited too long to schedule your exams and you're a morning person. You want to really make sure that you're getting the time that works best for you so that you perform the best. So what I suggest doing is, if you haven't done so already, go into your exams, see what proctored exams you need to do, write down the dates, and go directly on, get them scheduled, because the dates do fill up fast. There's lots of students and not so many proctors, especially during midterms week and finals week. You'll notice that less and less appointments will be available the further you go. And number 10, again, super simple, but it'll really help you save some time, is to write down discussion titles, then write down who you responded to. If you're a returning student, you know that there'll be 3 pages worth of discussions and you don't remember who you responded to and you're searching through trying to remember. If you simply write down the names and the discussion that you responded to, everything will be so much easier and will save you so much time, because you can go to the discussion, say, yep, I remember I commented on Jane's, and you can contribute back to the discussion. Really simple, and save all that time. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to go check the chat box to see if there was any more questions, and I'm going to pass it over to Caitlin for our closing slides.
All right, everybody, thank you for coming out tonight. And here are some helpful links that, in case you miss them in the chat box or you want to jot them down. And our email at the bottom, global.connections@WSU, if you ever have any questions or if you want to let us know what you'd like to see in the future. Also, I'm going to pop a survey link in the chat box now. I'd love to hear what you thought of tonight's program, and also to give us feedback. And here is that link. And if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat box at this time. Holly and I will stay around for a few more moments just to see if there are any last-minute questions. But otherwise, I hope you all had a great night, and I hope to see you at future Global Connections meetings.